thought, oh no, maybe I won't play Jarvan. Do, because he's still really good. He's still stupid good. He's kind of lame. Anyway. But he's also fun. And if he's fun, then you can always use that excuse. Say, stop playing OP champions, but he's fun. Like Vladimir. Anyway. Game kind of progressing as normal. See Annie move down, potentially to take blue. At this point, at 21 minutes, you've had, well, your first blue's been about 2 minutes. Some aggression going back first. Your first blue happened at about 2 minutes. 5-minute respawn means that it comes back around 7, then 12, then 17. So you're nearing up on the 22nd blue, which is, or 22nd minute blue, which is blue number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Normally around, most junglers around the 3rd or 4th blue, sometimes even the 2nd blue, can give their blue to their AP carry. See there, Annie went down and Trundle wow. Gave the blue buff to her, because that is a significant advantage for an AP carry to have that. You'll see, especially in Nivea, a very mana-hungry AP champion, most teams will give a Nivea the blue buff for, like, the entire game. And Nivea will never be without a blue buff, and those be awesome. Characters like Vlad, of course, don't need it, so Udyr can walk around with blue buff for a while. Sometimes you'll see blue buff, in that case, given to Jarvan. Or, I shouldn't say Jarvan, I mean the top lane champion. Or sometimes the AD carry, if the AD carry happens to be a spammy champion, like Corki, or even Tristana to a certain extent, but, who am I thinking of? Caitlyn. Spams a lot of spells. Blues, in the case of the AP carry not needing blue, blue can be given to a top lane champion, an AD carry that spams, or even sometimes a support champion. Although you have to be careful not to let the support champion die in that case. Meanwhile, Jarvan pushing over top lane and then leaving, having, you know, quote-unquote, won his lane, whatever that means, we can talk about that some other time, having more last hits, pushing down the tower, all that stuff. Now being free to come around, and we'll see an ult on Vayne, I believe, but, oh, no, and there's the ult on, and Soraka going down, but Vayne putting a lot of damage, Trundle putting a lot of damage, Annie forced to retreat, Vlad getting very low, and will be taken down by Trundle. No, we'll retreat from Trundle. It is worthwhile to mention at this point that both the Ulf, I, and Elwood Blues playing Vlad, the three of us are experiencing some very heavy lag. Meanwhile, Jarvan teleporting back to top to defend from Singed. So very heavy lag that definitely influenced how that went. I know that Trundle made some misplays. I know that I made some misplays. And I think that Vlad may have also made some misplays. But narrowly getting away is definitely good. Annie ganking a dragon with the pink ward. Not quite sure how they knew, except they guessed because they're smart. Misfortune getting very low. Udyr, Sona all retreating together. Doesn't look like Vayne is putting up too much of a chase. But there's Annie teleporting into a ward in bottom and picking up the kill on Udyr. A lot of damage going down from Annie and Vayne onto Sona, and there goes Mellow Man 64. Singed there now appearing from top lane and bottom lane and proceeding to push bottom lane. Singed, very, very annoying, as he can just run back and farm your incoming minion lanes. Vayne moving around and pushing the tower from behind, and it looks like bot tower for blue team will fall. Meanwhile, Vladimir pushing mid, fairly strong, putting some damage on that tower. Jarvan moving down to defend the second tower for blue team's bottom. And we'll see the push continue. Nope, instead we'll see Jarvan farm more. Yay! Meanwhile, Singed moving up. So yes, smart timing and decision making by the purple team. We had a purple ward. What is that color? It's pink. Pink ward for blue team. So we knew that purple team did not have a ward, but of course they thought, they just want to battle. They're probably going to do dragon. So that what they did is went to dragon and fucked us up. But we still got dragon. So you know. Jarvan missing his own flag. I do this sometimes, and I think it's so damn funny. Like, you place the thing, you should not miss it. Anyway, both teams aggregating in center lane. Looks like purple team looking to push a little bit, but being a little docile. Udyr hanging out in the bushes. Misfortune hanging out in the other side bushes. And both teams just kind of hanging out. No dragon on the map to worry about. Both lanes kind of getting pushed for purple team, so they'll be required to back and take care of that pretty soon. But we have a counter wave from top from purple team, so that'll probably help push that wave back out. Mostly biding their time to push waves, or to push towers, and wait for next dragon. Yeah. Setting that line. Don't cross the line, man. I'll knock you up. I'll knock you up. Make you pregnant. Good stuff going on. Let's look at items. Got a Philosopher's Stone for Sona too. That's great. See that the Meki Pendant ended up going towards a Tear of the Goddess. Good, but something you can skip if you go for the Philosopher's Stone first. Udyr going for a Triforce after Madred's Racers. Definitely a good item. I'm pretty sure that's a Triforce and not a Frozen Mallet, and I would also agree with a Triforce in this case, seeing that you have Jarvan being a nice tank. Jarvan having a lot of farm and 3 kills, picking up a early Trinity Force at 26 minutes after the 2 gold per 5 items, so having a lot of gold. Vladimir moving in a Spirit Visage, kind of a slightly defensive play, and getting that Blasting Wand moving towards either a Crystal Scepter or a potentially a Death Cap. Misfortune did get that Bloodthirster first, so that was true. That was correct. Meanwhile, Trundle also going to be moving eventually towards that Triforce, but grabbing Heart of Gold in the meantime. Soraka also getting a gold per 5. You know what's actually funny? Look, it's gain an additional 5 gold every 10 seconds. I'm going to actually... Hold on. Pause this. Screw this, because we need to get this right, man. It is not gold per 5. It is gold per 10. And I say this too, but it's fucking... It's gain an additional 5 gold every 10 seconds. God, that makes me angry. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so you're playing the game. Should pause the game more often. I know you guys want to watch the game, but fuck it. I'll pause it when I want to. Vlad kind of preemptively pulling in there again. I can understand because you don't want to get flung. You want to get flicked. Flick. Sounds much less intimidating. Meanwhile, in the item department, we see Vayne finishing up that Infinity Edge. Annie having backed. Has Annie not bought anything after? Oh, okay. So grabbing a Doran's ring. Cool. But not having finished the Death Cap yet. Even with 176 last hits, probably this hasn't been back in a while. And Singed finally getting that Rod of Ages, allowing him to basically do whatever he wants for a little bit. I mean, it does not a get out of jail free card all the time. But Singed with the Rod of Ages is, well, it's a Singed that you don't want to chase. We'll put it that way. Drink some water here. Oh, Surfer Singed. You don't have poison, you have suntan lotion. Getting your enemies all greased up. Make sure they don't get burned. It's like Surfer Singed, the counter to Brand. Anyway. Jarvan pushing bot tower. Annie, unfortunately, unable to do a lot of damage to him. Leaving that flag out there. That's anytime you're Jarvan and you want to push a tower, pretty intuitive, smart thing to do is just leave a flag behind you so you can get the passive bonus, and then you can just always lance out to it to get away in case something happens. Trundle moving up. Udyr coming out with a stun. Jarvan moves up to gank. Popping Ghost. Lays down the flag Q combo. Nope, looks like we're just moving to mid. Teams coming together and pressing into the purple team jungle. Very wise by blue team to, again, not be chasing that Singed. We see purple team trying to take blue. Singed comes around from behind, grabs Udyr. A lot of damage goes off from Vayne, but Udyr gets out alive. Vlad putting out a lot of damage. Vayne drops. Singed taking a lot of damage with Vlad's ult on him. Probably going to die as well. But Annie bursting down for a lot of damage, but does not manage to take out Misfortune. Meanwhile, Jarvan still at full health, dealing a lot of damage, but a flash away from Soraka denies another kill. And looks like that was 302 kills for blue team. Interesting, if you haven't played that game, if you're not involved with this game, or did not hear how it goes, you'll be interested to see how this ends up turning out. Because, well, I'll just leave it at that. It's interesting. Anyway, blue team moves down to take a dragon, putting himself even more in the lead, thanks to Sona's healing and Jarvan's moderately good damage. That last fight, definitely Annie did put out a lot of damage. The follow-up just did not happen, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Misfortune getting ganked by Trundle. I remember right here. Nate was on Skype, or I keep saying Nate. Misfortune was on Skype. Chili was on Skype, saying, "Ooh, Trundle's coming to gank me. I'll probably be okay. I can just probably just 1v1 him." And that's not the case. AD carries, not great 1v1ers in most cases. Anyway, so then she said, "Come help me, Jarvan," and I did. I'm kidding, Nate. You did great this game. You played excellently. You farmed a ton. You're at 156 versus Vayne's 176. Singe's 157. Farm for both teams relatively even. Udyr a little bit low compared to Trundle, but overall pretty good. We're out of the landing phase anyway, so this is all considered mid-game farm at this point. It's like mid-game farm, this late-game farm, and it's interesting to look at how champions benefit from different kinds of farm. There are some champions that actually end up getting a lot more late-game farm than they do early-game farm. Tryndamere actually is a decent example of that. Kind of has a weak early game, so gets a lot of his farm mid-game and late-game, which is why he's such a damn terror in the late game. Because when Tryndamere gets the items that he wants, he has 6 seconds to do with you as he wants, you know. And when he's got an Infinity Edge and 2 Phantom Dancers and boots, you know. It's pretty terrifying. But he gets a lot of his farm later game. That's why he's such a late game carry. And a ping going off on Baron. We got some wards spread around for blue team. And by wards, I mean a ward right there. Ooh, it is hot. Wow. Oh my god. I turned off all my fans because I have like 2 fans set up in my room. I have one off to the left and then one in my window, and they kind of point at each other. So what it does is create a wind tunnel, which just whisks away, you know, the hot air and the sweat, and just pushes it right out the window, and it's great. Except that they make a lot of noise, and I have this, you know, multi-directional mic, and I don't want for my voice to, you know, have a lot of noise in it. So I turn off the fans so that you can hear me clearly. But then I just started sweating like crazy, like it's so hot out, and I closed my window to try to prevent the hot air from getting in, but it gets in there anyway. God. We see a catalyst coming up for Banshee's Veil on Vayne. Sorry, that was totally random, but it's hot, and it's what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about the game. I'm thinking about my armpits. Ugh. See Jarvan grabbing oracles, putting some pushing on mid. We haven't actually seen a real team fight. The closest thing to a team fight that we had was down here before Dragon. I can't remember exactly when it was, but that was the closest thing we had to a team fight. But even then, the purple team kind of trickled in one at a time, which ultimately led to a bad team fight for them. So I won't really call that a team fight. It was definitely a large skirmish. Which you'll notice that blue team is definitely a team that's good at skirmishing. Udyr is good at skirmishing. Jarvan is good at like everything. Vlad is great at skirmishing. Misfortune a little bit better in team fights, but definitely not a bad skirmisher. A lot of pressure going down on top. We see Jarvan moving up to help Udyr defend, and meanwhile Trundle hanging out mid against Vlad and Sona. Soraka showing up mid. Everybody's getting their farm on. I remember this game being a very, very farm-heavy game. In farm-heavy games, your team composition matters a lot more, simply because characters are often, what characters do is often defined by the items that they get. Like, for instance, Vladimir having that Hextech Revolver, having a lot of AP. And Annie without AP kind of doesn't even almost count as an Annie on your team. She doesn't really